Hi all, I wanted to share something that I hope you're uncovering with your therapists, friends, or anyone close to you. And that is, if you talk about why it might be difficult and heavy to exist in the world, to be a human being, and to exist in the world. I have a very simple theory and an explanation that might cover quite a lot. And that is, there is a certain heaviness, a heaviness that doesn't go away, right? Every evening it's there, every morning it's there, during daytime it's there, and it continues. And that is the consequence of living in the world in which there is Israel. It's living in the world of Israel or living in the world with Israel, in the world where this political entity exists, in the world where this political entity behaves in the way it has been behaving. This is the world in which our bodies have to operate. And I know you might have thought about it, so I'm just here to validate. Because every day, if you look around and you have a little bit of empathy and a critical mind and access to resources, to information, you understand that, and you feel it in your body, that we live in the world where a genocide can be unleashed onto an occupied people in front of our screens as the world watches. We live in the world where regular people, well, actually braver, regular people like you and me have to sail, have to go on boats to try to break this medieval siege, and then they can be captured, they can be illegally kidnapped in international waters, they can be taken to Israel 1,000 kilometers away, they can be tortured, they can be beaten as the world watches. We live in a world where medics can be murdered for refusing to leave their patients. They can be murdered and they can be tortured in prison in Israel as the world watches. We live in the world where journalists can be targeted again, murdered in front of our screen as the world watches. We live in the world where terrorist groups can kill, set on fire, destroy anything and anyone because they're supported by the army of the occupier, and there's only complete impunity and they can do whatever they want in the West Bank as the world watches. We live in the world where children are turned into skeletons because the food is prevented by the occupier. The food is just several kilometers away, so the children turn into skeletons and die in front of our screens as the world watches. We live in the world where children are forced to make shoes out of tin cans because it's painful to walk on the rubble and there are no shoes because the occupier destroyed everything. We live in the world where children are making shoes out of tin cans as the world watches. We live in the world where some shitty officials of a shitty sports federation kindly ask the occupied, the people being exterminated, to shake hands with the people who are exterminating them as the world watches. And on top of everything, we live in the world where our governments extend the red carpet for the executioners of the concentration camp. This is how the world looks. If you seek that information, if you have access to that information, if you care, this is how the world looks with an Israel in it. There is no alternative Zionist project. This is the world that now exists and we all have to live in because Israel exists in that world. And it will continue. And it will continue to be a world like that, with our cowardly governments who bow down to fascists, governments who cannot even condemn when people are being kidnapped from international waters, just like by their shores there. They cannot do anything. They know that the kidnapping will happen. They know that the crime will occur, and they do nothing. And if you think that it's only Gaza that's under siege, when our governments do nothing to prevent the crimes, to create any kind of accountability for the crimes, to impose any kind of sense of justice, it is not just Gaza that is under siege. And it will take more than, no matter how brave, and I thank them so much for it, no matter how many boats in the Sumud flotilla. It will take all of us, to make sure that one day we exist in the world that is different. We exist in the world where there is no entity, there is no fascist regime, that it is dismantled, a regime that does that, one of the most brutal regimes of our lifetimes. It is for us to do something so that we can exist in a world that doesn't have these elements. It cannot be clearer. And every day the horrors are only expanding. Every day you add more horrors, and in Palestine, and in Lebanon, and in Iran, and in international waters. So this is how a world that has an Israel, this is how it looks. If someone still says, this is not what Zionism is about, well, this is what its implementation has been about. This is into which it has materialized. And we all now live in that reality. And the crimes that are being committed against my humanity and against your humanity, these crimes against humanity, they are continuous. And you can feel that every evening, every morning, every day, every evening, every morning, every day, because it's the world in which an entity that perpetuates those crimes exists. So when you talk about building a different world, I hope this is what you mean. I hope that you see no other way. There's no parallel universe where these crimes are not happening. And so it is in this universe that we have to stop them. And if we're not on these boats with very brave people who know that they can be beaten, tortured, kidnapped, that Israel can do whatever it wants with them, we might not be on those boats, but we are the global community. We are not alone. We're not in tens. We're not in hundreds. We're not in thousands. We're not in tens of thousands. We are in the millions. We are in the millions. So now let's continue demanding safe passage to the remaining people in the global Sumud flotilla. So let's make sure that we speak out so they are released from that illegal detention. And then when you feel that it might be getting very difficult, very heavy to exist in this world, let that be a reminder where that work lies. And let's do it together. So thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.